Hello. I'm going to show you some of the basic arm wrestling moves just off the top of my head. So the key is this is an actual arm wrestling table. So one of the keys is to keep your hips close to the table. So power comes from the hips. So I learned this in martial arts that spinning kicks are very powerful because you spin your hips and you swing your leg. So power comes from the hips. So whenever you move your upper body, you want to utilize the elbow pad. So you want to move around the elbow pad. So when you move from here to here, you want to move your hips with your arm. So like this. And then when you pin somebody, after you get them over to the winning side, you want to drop your hips. So moving the hips is very important. So from side to side. And when you want to move down, dropping your hips. So that is one tip for being a great arm wrestler, is always move your hips with your body from side to side and down when you want to move your arm down. So the one thing I like to do is lock everything. So lock everything so it's stationary. So you can pivot your upper body to move back. And you can use your legs to move from side to side and up and down. So locking everything together in tight is key. And you want to always try to utilize the elbow pad. So move from corner to corner of the elbow pad. So one of the things I did is I went to the World Arm Wrestling Championships in Romania about 3 years ago, and you have to follow the rules of the table. So one of the rules is your elbow has to stay on the elbow pad. So I flew all the way to Romania and lost both matches because my elbow came off the pad. So the first time it comes off, it's a foul. And 2 fouls is a loss. So my elbow came off the pad twice on both matches. So I didn't lose a match this way or this way. I lost because I double elbow fouled on 2 occasions and lost both matches due to 2 elbow fouls on each match. So a terrible way to go all the way to Romania. It was like 13-hour flight. So it's a lesson well learned. Do not foul out on elbow fouls. So now what I do to combat that is, instead of starting with my elbow at the edge of the pad, I start with my elbow more in the middle. So when I was in Romania, I started right here. So I was actually gaining a guy in a top roll, and when I gained an advantage by getting the wrist in my direction, my opponent got panicky and pushed my elbow off the pad. So the referees cannot tell if your elbow came off because of you or because it was pushed off, but if your elbow was pushed off the elbow pad and your opponent pushed your elbow off, then you can always argue with referees that your elbow was pushed off, and they'll have a talk about the decision, and the decision will not always go in your favor. But if you're flying more than 10 hours to a competition, it's well worth arguing the elbow foul call. So it's a hard lesson to learn, but I learned it the hard way.